Who's ready to talk about trauma on the internet? Bow, 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 bow. Hello, my friends. Welcome to my official third podcast episode. I have a podcast now, so that's pretty cool. This is my co-host, Phoebe. Phoebe, say hello. Everything that I talk about in this podcast is actually direct revelation from Phoebe. Phoebe is like genius and hacked all of these codes about generational trauma and endometriosis healing. I'm merely her translator. So I thought we would talk about EMDR therapy today because EMDR therapy was like literally one of the coolest things I have ever done and healed me in so many ways and was so transformative for me. So how it worked was I looked on, I think it's psychologytoday.com, and I put in what insurance I have, and then you just like scroll through this website. You can set like certain filters about it. So obviously I put the filter that it was a woman. I actually can't imagine going to a man therapist. Like, that probably says a lot without saying anything, you know what I mean? So I'm looking and I'm like letting my intuition and my gut lead me to my therapist, because if you've ever tried to find a therapist before or like start that journey with somebody, you have to have a therapist that you fuck with and connect with, and sometimes that's hard to find. So I'm like, this time it's not going to be hard to find. Like, the universe is going to tell me exactly what therapist to have. So I'm just scrolling, and then it's just this like feeling to stop at this woman, and then I click on her account and it describes her, and I'm like, yeah, that's literally exactly what I'm looking for. So I book a call with her. I talk to her for a few minutes, feel out the vibe. I'm like, okay, yes, let's set up an appointment. So then I go to her office, and then I'm just like, it's so... starting therapy is crazy because I'm just sitting on this woman's couch, and I'm like, where do we even begin? But I really shout out to this therapist, because she is probably one of the most influential people and helped me. She was just so freaking wise. So EMDR therapy, it's like deep trauma therapy. And I was like, okay, I feel like I need to have a connection with this therapist and her to kind of know what's happening here before I'm ready to do those sessions, because then it becomes, instead of talk therapy, you're doing EMDR therapy. It can be both. It could be a mix. So yeah, I went to her for 3 months, and she really helped me a lot. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready for EMDR. And so basically we chose 10 events in my life that still had a physical reaction in my body when I thought about it or talked about it. And so it's actually hilarious. She just has listed out my top 10 most traumatic memories, and she's just reading it back to me, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then we found what core belief was tied to that experience. So core beliefs, when I learned about these, I'm like, wow, that is so fascinating. Basically, they are these subconscious beliefs that we have wired in our body from either maybe a single traumatic event, an overarching story. They can be positive core beliefs. I personally did not have many of those, if any. So it's like every subconscious belief I had about relationships and myself and my place in the world and my relationship with the world was so toxic and hurt, and was clearly dating back for generations. Generational trauma is very real, and I had that from both sides very deeply in many crazy ways. And that was literally just like the wiring of my body. And so I like to look at core beliefs as glasses, because no matter what you're experiencing or seeing or interacting with, you're seeing it through these lenses of these core beliefs. And if I have this core belief written in me that everybody always leaves and I am unworthy of love and this person is just going to hurt me, even though this may not even have literally anything to do with this person, which usually it doesn't. And so it's like, for me, an example was my boyfriend, now fiance, gonna be my husband, but like for literally years, these core beliefs that I had formed through my experiences with my parents were literally like this toxic block between me and my mans. And it's like totally affecting me in our relationship, and trauma that I had from my ex-boyfriend, very abusive ex-boyfriend, when I was literally 14 years old. Those are coming between me and my mans, who has like literally never hurt me and is just so kind and sweet. And I'm having these interactions with the world and with myself. I have this relationship with myself and this voice in my head that has been wired by my parents, who were deeply hurt people and did not get the proper attention and knowledge and resources. Because generational trauma is like coming up so much right now, because I think like one of the reasons is because people can actually break free of these things. Like women, generational trauma, we are literally one of the first generations to actually be able to have the freedom to freaking be who we are and say what we want and do what we want with our lives and our bodies. Like that is not something that women could say for generations back, and that's literally in our bodies. But now we have the outlets and the expression and the freedom to break free of all of this generational trauma and the resources and the knowledge. So now for the actual session of what an EMDR session looked like. I would walk in, I'd be like, hey girl, she's like, hey girl, and then I had to feel a certain level of okay with EMDR therapy. Like that's one thing, is that it's not really meant, from my knowledge and from my opinion of EMDR, it's not really meant to be done for trauma while you're literally in the middle of it. It's for like old past ones. So then if I walk in and I'm like, okay, I want to do EMDR today, then we just get right into it. She has her list. She's like, which one do you want to do? One of the events I did over the span of 2 EMDR sessions, before we would do the EMDR session, she would ask how it felt in my body on a scale of 1 to 10. And then we would do the EMDR. And then the next therapy session, she'd be like, okay, how does this feel in your body now? Every time it would be lower, but we were trying to get it to like a 0 or a 1. It's like, okay, now we have this event picked out. What even now? So then I am watching it in third person. So first I have to choose the place that I'm watching it. So I chose a magical garden fairyland, and it's like you're watching it on the TV, this event that happened to you. So it's like I'm watching this event from when I'm 14 and I had this horrible interaction with my ex-boyfriend, and I'm watching it with my eyes closed on my therapist's couch through a tree TV that I am in my magical fairyland. And so I'm watching it from the outside and I'm totally safe, and she is like kind of cueing me. And also I have a left buzzer and a right buzzer, and they're going bzz, 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 back and forth to stimulate the left and right side of my brain and body, I'm pretty sure. And there's like different ways that different therapists do that. And then I am watching it on this TV, and then she'd be like, okay, open your eyes. And I'm like, absolutely losing it while I'm watching these events happen. And then as the session slowly progressed, then, okay, now I'm actually in the room with my 14-year-old self and with my ex-boyfriend, and I'm just watching it. Okay, then I'm opening my eyes. My therapist is like, you're good. And then either she cues something or I just go right back into it. It's kind of like a little break. Like you just open your eyes. You're like, okay, I'm actually just here in this therapist's office. Then I am intervening with the situation and supporting and protecting this 14-year-old version of myself. So in this case, it's me just, I don't know if I can say it on the internet, so I'm not, but and then it's me like interacting with that version of myself who, with these events, these beliefs are being wired in her brain and her body, and she's feeling like this event is her fault and that she's stupid and that she's unworthy and disgusting and that nobody really cares about her. And I'm talking to her from the version of me that is 21, and I'm able to validate and see myself and support myself in a way that I have yearned to be all of those things from my parents. Okay, now younger versions of me in my head and my heart and my body are receiving that care from myself right now. And I'm like rewriting these core beliefs and being like, these aren't true, like these are false. I don't claim them. And while I'm doing that, then I'm also choosing the new core belief that I am putting in its place. So for that reason, and also I am rewriting and reprocessing some of the most traumatic memories of my life that are literally like lodged in my body, just literally haunting me and making me feel like complete and utter shit. And then also after those sessions, I'm spending hours just crying. Like I have never cried as much as after I did EMDR sessions. It's just like this release. Like it's literally like you're looking at your trauma and being like, okay, I see you, I acknowledge you, I see what that did, and now we're choosing something different for ourselves, for our past selves, our current selves, our future selves, our kids, their kids. Like just was such a beautiful, profound experience for me, and it gave me deep emotional release and healing. And those things were very important for my endometriosis healing. And that was my experience and my view with EMDR therapy. But again, it's like, it's all about what is best for you and your situation and your journey and your healing. And if you hear about EMDR or you look into EMDR with an open mind and an open heart, and still you're kind of like, yeah, that doesn't really sound like for me, then it's not for you. But if you hear about it and it's like, oh, it like strikes a chord in you. Like when I had never heard of EMDR therapy, and then when I began this healing journey with endometriosis, my neighbor just like randomly brought it up. I don't even remember what sparked it. And I was like, and as soon as he said it, I just like knew. I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And so I looked into it and everything. You have to do your research and you have to find a therapist that you vibe with. I don't think that EMDR is the only thing that can get the result that I got, but that's the way that I did. I have seen through personal experience from myself and from people close in my life that your trauma does affect you, and it does stay in your body and stay, like my trauma literally haunted me through nightmares, through my thoughts and feelings, and just like my body was just, it felt so dark and just a very sick, sad place. And I think this would be a fun place to read some of my book. This is my book, How I Transformed My Life with Endometriosis. You basically know exactly what it is just from me reading the title. And I have a chapter called Generational Despair. So I'd like to read a part of that. And that'll pretty much be our episode, I think. I don't know, I'm just kind of like rolling with it, seeing what the universe tells me. Okay. Generational despair. Perhaps I was always destined for a battle with darkness, a battle with shame, addiction, insecurity, avoidance, suicidal ideation. Curses that have pulsed through my bloodline for generations. The battles that my ancestors lost, continuing to be passed down until someone breaks them. Kinda like the final boss in a video game. I had a lot of final bosses. For a while, I was convinced that I am only darkness. Although it's true, darkness is a part of me, I am also light. I must not forget that I contain multitudes, that every shadow comes hand in hand with the light. Do we shame the night as she rises, or the day as she comes? How can I welcome and accept and move through every part of who I am, have been, and ever will be? Can I grow to accept and love my darkness? Can I use it as a vehicle of connection to this sick world I live in with people who shine bright of darkness? Are we not made from the same things, from the same source? If we hold our darkness with love, maybe it can help us find more compassion for humanity. Humanity is full of darkness, aren't we all? There's a story that had been written in my body since before I was even conceived. The story of my mother and father and every generation before them. As soon as I was in my mother's womb, my parents had begun writing into my genetic code over and over again. We aren't just inheriting eye color or the shape of our nose. We are also inheriting unprocessed pain, trauma, core beliefs, repressed emotions, toxic worldviews, and cycles. We feel and download their energy, their beliefs, their worries, their relationships, how they spend their time, the way they talk to each other and to themselves, their relationship with their body, with the world, and so much more. We are getting nutrients through what they are feeding their body and soul. We are in an innocent sponge at the mercy, for a time, of those we are born to. The trauma we go through gets held in our body. It gets held in our cells, our bones, our blood. For women, I believe a lot of our trauma gets held in our womb space, an infinite galaxy unseen that holds stories, memories, beliefs. The wounds of our trauma don't just dissipate as time goes on. I have found through my experiences they actually get deeper, louder, and spread more. If we ignore the trauma in our body, it will continue to overstay its welcome. It will influence the way we move, act, feel, and speak. To me, endometriosis felt like a calling. It felt like generations of built-up oppression, pain, and trauma. It felt like a message to take control of my life and build something beautiful, true, and peaceful for me and for the generations after. I think we all have divine missions and gifts in this life. I think a part of mine is to heal chains of pain and trauma that have been shackling my family for generations. Over my life, I have acquired my own pain and trauma, but I believe I also carry the pain and trauma of every generation before me that has not healed. I was living my life through the view of very toxic and damaging beliefs. Beliefs that were contributing to my sickness. Beliefs that were keeping my body in a mode of fight or flight or freeze. Beliefs that were putting a wall up around my heart and coming between my relationships. Beliefs that were keeping me stuck, sick, depressed, and anxious. To name just a few. The world is a scary, cold, dark place. I am a burden. I am a victim to this cruel life. Other people's happiness and peace comes before mine. Dreams aren't realistic for people like me. I am stupid. Life is a big, hard test you have to endure, and then you die. I am worth nothing. I am an object only for the pleasure of others. Everyone always leaves. There is something wrong with me. I am broken. I am not worthy of unconditional love. I am unimportant. I am not worthy of self-love, of really any love at all. Lenses of fear, insecurity, shame. I just skipped a little bit, and then here's 2 more paragraphs. My trauma will always be a part of me. Trying to erase my trauma would be trying to erase me. The point was to make friends with my trauma. process it, love it, hold it, acknowledge it, and crack it wide open to see the treasure chest filled with all the gifts my trauma provides. Inside the chest lies the brightest parts of myself. The light was created hand in hand with the dark. I could never have one without the other. My trauma screaming at me wasn't a curse. It was the opposite. It was my trauma telling me that we weren't done. No, not even close. Please look at me. I have more for you. I have things to show you and tell you and passages to transform you. It is only through me that you can unlock and divinely interconnect all the parts of you that were meant for you. That was my trauma when she called me on the phone. I couldn't keep all my trauma. My body was full of it, with no room for the light to enter. I had to shake off the excess trauma, the harmful core beliefs, the emotions that needed to be felt to then be released, the overflow of stuck, sick energy, stories that were keeping me chained to the past. I had to allow my body to sort through my trauma, to release the parts that were keeping me sick and stuck while holding on to the parts that connect me to my light. End of book reading. Never, ever underestimate the power of healing trauma will have for your health and your body. Hey, for talking about trauma on the internet. Whoop whoop. In my book, I talk about examples of actual trauma, and at first I was kind of freaked the F out because I'm like, oh my gosh, so many people are gonna read about my trauma. Like, that is so vulnerable and raw. Like, how could I possibly release this? Like, blah blah blah. And it's like, babe, like, I'm literally going to die. Only God knows when. But I have this story. We all have these stories and these creations burning in our chest. And what is life if we are not chasing those passions and those burnings and those literal calls from the universe? Like, if the universe is calling you, pick up, babe. Like, you have gifts to share with the world. A quote, is it better to speak or to die? Like, I had this story of me healing and transforming this disease that they told me that I was literally going to die with, and I healed that shit. And I'm like, I got this burn in my chest to share it, and then a burn to write a book about it, and I did it. And it literally was so freaking cool to like write this book. Like, it's definitely one of the coolest things I've ever done. It's so fun. And now it's just like, this book is just here forever. And who even cares what people say? Or if anybody even reads it. There have been a few people that have read it. So it's pretty much a success. But I want to sell more. And you know what? That's not wrong that I want to sell my book and I want people to read it, because I think it's very powerful information. Anyways, follow your dreams and break free from the shackles of the patriarchy, and check your sources before you believe things, and listen to your intuition. Awaken to your power, my divine goddess. Let us all awaken to our divine feminine power and wisdom, and let us all come together and hold hands and sing a song so sweet and powerful. And then the world will heal, and it will be a new land, a land of the matriarchy, where everyone is free. Is such a land even possible? If you want to help a girl out, please like, subscribe, drop a comment, send it to a friend, you know the whole shebang. Okay, well, I hope you have a beautiful day. Remember to be kind to yourself and to Spread love and light to the atmosphere. Love you. Peace and love. Namaste.